gobierno fascista. Pues es muy fácil. A la hora de pedir algo a un gobierno democrático, mira lo que pasa. Es que no lo sé. Hay que pedirlo a nuestro socio de gobierno.
At the start of this year, I made numerous videos looking at, I guess, alt-right sub-communities on places like Reddit and YouTube and things like that. But something I've never really spoken about is TikTok. Of course, it's a newer form of social media that has exploded over the last couple years. Now, I thought it'd be interesting to have a look at how maybe alt-right groups or fascist groups or just general weirdos who love fascist figures use something like TikTok to sort of promote these ideologies, or at the very least, idealize these far-right figures. So today what we're going to do is, I guess, just look at a couple examples, talk about how TikTok as a site moderates this stuff, and then I guess also talk about, you know, if it has an influence and stuff. Also, I would highly recommend, if you speak German or Spanish and you're a YouTuber, if you want to look into this stuff, I think it's very ripe for content. Unfortunately, a lot of this stuff, if you're talking about, I guess, the Nazis, or you're talking about Mussolini and stuff, it is in different languages, or, you know, Franco's obviously like in Spanish. So I had a guy help me translate some Pinochet stuff, because that seems to be some of the most popular. But yes, if you are a YouTuber who can speak a different language, I'd highly recommend looking into this specific topic in these different languages. Now, before we go any further, recently YouTube demonetized my entire channel, supposedly for bullying. What had actually happened is I'd been mass flagged by some community or some fans. Thankfully, after bigger creators like the Humanist Report, the Serfs, Carl Kalinske and Wowshi retweeted the tweet, YouTube went back on its policies, but it's shown me how fragile this is as a source of income. So if you want to support my work continuing for the future, regardless of what YouTube do, please consider becoming a patron. If you want to join our growing community, please check out the Discord and the subreddit in the description. And if you want to follow me personally, check out @TheCavernacle on Instagram and Twitter. And also u/TommyCahill1995 for my personal Reddit. Also, we are slowly chugging along to 30k. For each 5k, I get a new chocolate orange. Don't you guys want to see the tower grow? Also, I live stream 2 times a week at the moment. And a lot of you have asked or requested for me to archive the streams. I now put them on the Cavernacle Extra, my second channel. Link is in the description. If 3 videos and 2 live streams isn't enough for you, go there and watch the whole live stream again if you missed any of it. So today we're going to be primarily focusing on Oswald Mosley and General Pinochet. So we're going to start with Mosley. Now, I'm from the UK, so most people know who Mosley is, but he's kind of faded into a bit of irrelevance. But he did pop up as the antagonist of season 5 of the very popular show Peaky Blinders. Americans may have watched that on Netflix. If you're in the UK, you probably watched it on the BBC. But let's first quickly talk about who Mosley was before we show you the TikToks, because otherwise it won't make much sense why it's bad people idolize this guy. So Mosley was a World War I veteran, and he bounced around the political parties. He was a Tory MP, he was a Labour MP. I think he was in one of the Labour governments as, you know, the Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster. So he had experience, he was popular, but then he became a fascist and started the British Union of Fascists. So just describing how he came to this. So after his election failure in 1931, Mosley went on a study tour of the new movements of Italy's Mussolini and other fascists, and returned convinced, particularly by fascist Italy's economic programme, that it was the way forward for Britain. He was determined to unite the existing fascist movements and created the British Union of Fascists in 1932. It was protectionist, anti-communist and nationalistic to the point of advocating authoritarianism. Also got a lot of backing from the Daily Mail, if you want to know how, you know, awful that paper has always been. So Mosley often found problems with disruptions to his party meetings by anti-fascists, and he instituted a corps of black uniformed paramilitary stewards, the Fascist Defence Force, nicknamed the Black Shirts, similar to the Brown Shirts in Nazi Germany. The party was frequently involved in violent confrontations and riots, particularly with communist and Jewish groups in London. He continued to espouse anti-Semitism, and at one of his conferences in Leicester in April 1935, he said, "For the first time, I openly and publicly challenge the Jewish interests of this country, commanding commerce, commanding the press, commanding the cinema, dominating the city of London, killing industry with their sweatshops, are not intimidating and will not intimidate the fascist movement of the modern age." So this event is pretty popular. So leftists often celebrate this event every single year. So in October 1936, Mosley and the Union of Fascists attempted to march through an area with a high proportion of Jewish residents in London, and it has since been called the Battle of Cable Street, and protesters blocked the march, and a mixture of Jews, communists and anti-fascists blocked the march, but the police would beat the protesters. But at length, Sir Philip Game, the police commissioner, disallowed the march from going ahead, and the Union of Fascists eventually abandoned it. Mosley and the Union of Fascists remained pretty popular throughout the 1930s, and in 1939, at Earl's Court, he had the biggest indoor political rally in British history, with 30,000 attendees. But as Britain entered the war against the Nazis, Mosley was spied upon and eventually was put in prison because of his links to fascism, obviously kind of a fascist, running about getting political support during a war with a fascist power. So Oswald Mosley, pretty similar to Nazis, people like Benito Mussolini, pretty standard fascist, anti-Semite, all that stuff. Now, you can see why he's problematic. I could talk at length about why this guy's so bad, maybe in another video. But he is the main British fascist from the 1930s, and he continued his work after the war as well. But then it's depressing. If you type in Oswald Mosley into TikTok and go on users, hopefully I'm showing you it now, you just get countless pages of Oswald Mosley people. You see another one, Joseph Goebbels there. But yeah, Oswald Mosley, you see the Britain Union of Fascists flag as well. So countless accounts. Now, I want to talk about some of the TikToks. Now, I may play you like a little montage of some weird ones people have put on. But here is one that basically just has an Oswald Mosley speech with subtitles. Now, I can't play you the audio of the speech because they've put in a popular song, and I'll probably get struck down for copyright if I play this on YouTube, but you can just have a look at it. It's very, very short, and then we're going to get into the comments. So there isn't really much to the TikTok. You see some, Nazi-style salutes, but he's saying England lives and marches on. But basically, you're not going to be influenced to be a fascist by watching this TikTok, so it doesn't really work well as propaganda. But I guess it's a sort of signal to other people on TikTok that you are a fascist, that you are on the alt-right or so on. So this one's pretty popular. It had 7,600 likes and it had 470 comments. And you get some lovely comments like this. So let's go through them. And then someone said, "We need this man right now in this world. Hate to say it, but it's true." Liked by the person who posted TikTok. Someone saying truly gamer moment. Someone else said base with 2 lightning bolts. Obviously, fascist symbol of the British Union Fascists. And the double lightning bolt style, like German rune, obviously the SSU. So 1888 liked, obviously 88 is when Hitler was born. People writing Mosley. Other people saying base, God save the Queen and rule Europa. Communists are a cancer of the world together with the Jew rat leaders. Someone just posted a swastika in there made out of emojis. So on TikTok already, it seems you can be a lot more outwardly fascist without consequences. Now, one thing I will say is that if you search Nazi Germany on TikTok, it will just bring you up a page about the Holocaust. You can't even search for the Wehrmacht. People spell it differently if you want to find those sorts of TikToks. So there's lots of fascist stuff you actually can't find because of their search engine, but people just go around it by using people like Pinochet, Mosley, Mussolini, Franco, and you just search for them and you find lots of stuff about it. So if they want their filters to work better, they should probably add a lot of fascist people onto that list so you can't just search for it. Now, this is the same account called Base Department, shows someone basically tearing down a British flag, and you can see the type of people he's inspiring here. So more comments in this video showing Europe for Europeans, we will rise again and will be unstoppable. greetings from Spain to all of my European brothers. That's pretty funny because the same fascists in England don't like Spanish people. So someone else saying, I'm Belgian, but it hurts me. Europe for Europeans. Someone else saying, I'm not even English. I'm Romanian, but I can't describe how much the guy from the beginning angers me. Again, very ironic considering British fascists absolutely hate Romanians. Even just British conservatives hate Romanian people as well. Britain for British, Oswald Mosley. We need to stand up in his honour, liked by the creator. England lives and marches on, the quote from the old speech. Europe for Europeans, more stuff like that. Based, liked by the creator, and he says ye. Another one with a British Union of Fascist flag saying based. Someone else saying, Sir Oswald Mosley, you are a man who inspires our nation to return to its former state as a nation of dominion and power. Long live the UK. So yeah, just pretty much open fascism and open fascist community on TikTok. Again, it seems like it's not regulated as much because if I see this stuff on Twitter, and I've seen some Mosley stuff and some Union of Fascist stuff, sometimes if you report it, they get banned pretty quickly. And TikTok seems to have this more thriving community. Now, we're going to move on to Pinochet. And people may say, oh, Pinochet is not outwardly fascist like Mosley, even though I'd say he is. Now, Pinochet does not have the fascist reputation as Oswald Mosley. He is reviled by a lot of people. I would say he's a fascist, authoritarian, strongman leader, and I'm not going to read out a lot of what he did, but we're going to go into it a bit after I show you some of the clips, because we're going to talk about his relevance to the modern alt-right. But Pinochet's regime, if you read some of the stuff about it, is insanely brutal, insanely cruel as well. It's just awful, and it's so sanitized, and it makes me sick that this country, even though, you know, I am Anglo-Irish, backed him, America backed him just because a socialist took power in Chile. And when this guy was ousted, he came to the UK, and then he was never really put on trial for any of these crimes. So, the disgusting man. But there is a massive TikTok account, or pretty massive, called Pinochet Immortal, with a little cartoon avatar of Pinochet that has 200k likes and 28k followers. Now, I know likes and followers aren't worth as much on TikTok. I do think it's pretty notable that an account that has Pinochet Immortal is pretty popular. Now, I had my friend Eli translate some of this stuff because, like I said, loads of these things are in Spanish. So I can't read Spanish, I can't speak Spanish. So thankfully, Eli, who I trust, let's see if he rewards my trust. Eli translated it, and we're going to get into it. So the first video we're going to play is a speech by him. Hopefully with some of the Pinochet stuff, I can play some of it. I might not be able to. So what will happen is I'm just going to read over it. So the first video we got here is saying, at the time the Marxist regime was crumbling down our country, which gave itself the task of rebuilding, and our nation went through great sacrifices to reach an economic situation of stable development, always with the common good in mind, the government's priority, but the road was unfortunately made that much harder by a smear campaign to which every religious organisation joined in with the politicians. So the comments here saying, now I know how history repeats itself. Praise for General. We need this old man back so much. I'm from Peru. Divine Providence gave you guys a man like him. He saved you twice. He saved you from communism and Peru's invasion. Someone else, hail Pinochet and Chile. In another one saying, in the greatest my general, we will never forget how you saved us from communism. So the second video is a bit shorter. Basically, Pinochet says, to build our present and our future will be solely the responsibility of the rule of law of the Chilean people. We will not accept anyone pretending to interfere or limit our freedom because we are free and sovereign. Someone else saying, the greatest Chile ever had. This is so simple. Someone saying, he was such a visionary. Oh, my president, we need someone like him. Someone else, you were so right, my general, the best. And someone else saying, I respect the general, but USA was your boss. An honour to serve you, my general. So great, my general. So, lots of Pinochet simps there. This mass murdering, mass torturing, awful, awful dictator which inflicted so much suffering on Chile. Now, I didn't know how bad it was until I was researching for this video. I knew he was bad. I thought he was like a pretty typical strongman, but I think he deserves to be up there with people like Franco and Mussolini. It's just absolutely revolting, the stuff you read here. And then it has the fascist element of being like anti-native and stuff as well. So he has the whole thing going for him. And the fact that he was sanitized by the West, backed by the West, Nixon and Kissinger helped orchestrate this coup and everything. Completely disgusting, and furthers my belief that the US is one of the most evil countries that has existed in modern times. Just backing people like this is disgusting. Now, Pinochet, you guys might know him because he has some relevance to the far right. If you're a leftist on the internet, you've probably been told, like I've been told multiple times, can't wait to chuck you out of a helicopter, I'm going to give you a free helicopter ride, all this stuff, this memeing shit the alt-right do, because Pinochet and his regime used to throw communist people out of helicopters, sometimes into the ocean, and sometimes they disemboweled them first, so their bodies wouldn't float. Totally lovely guy, lovely regime. I'm so happy there is a whole TikTok account dedicated to him. Now, The Intercept wrote a good article, and it's Christopher Ketchum, and it's titled, What the Far-Right Fascination with Pinochet's Death Squad Should Tell Us. So, among the panoply of bizarre memes that the far-right extremists flash at Trump rallies and share obsessively online, one of the more disturbing for its frightening historical reverence is the Hoppian snake. The image typically consists of a coiled serpent sporting the officer's cap of notorious General Pinochet. In the background fly childlike depictions of helicopters, from which stick figures are jettisoned to their death. In one of the many variants, the snake, as Pinochet proclaims with a sardonic smirk, I'm evil for throwing people out of helicopters, false, commies aren't people. It's unclear why Pinochet is depicted as a snake, though it may be inspired by the snake on the Gadsden flag that warns don't tread on me. Far from being a jokingly homage to Pinochet, tyrant, torturer, mass murderer, puppet of the CIA, and hater of all things socialist who ruled Chile from 1973 to 1990, the fetishized totem of the Hoppian snake has dire significance for US paramilitaries. When Boogaloo Boys, Proud Boys, 3%ers, Oath Keepers, armed Trumpists, and the like wear t-shirts that offer free helicopter rides, they are referring to a program of extermination. Following Pinochet's 1973 coup d'etat, which ended the short-lived and turbulent administration of Salvador Allende, an avowed Marxist, thousands of his supporters were killed, tens of thousands of perceived enemies of the regime were tortured, and thousands of others were disappeared, often being flown in a military helicopter and toppled from the sky. The Hoppian snake is utilising Cold War-era anti-communist imagery of a once-hidden history of the right-wing brutality and terror that utilised US military hardware, said Portland-based investigative journalist Jeff Schwilk, who has documented the iconography of the alt-right since 2016. Pinochet specifically harkens to the heyday of the US-backed death squads in the 1960s, 70s and 80s, from the Phoenix program in Vietnam to Suharto in Indonesia to the Contras in Nicaragua. It is a direct threat to the intention of deadly mass violence and the future death squads targeting the left, the United States, and anyone else deemed an enemy. It reveals the true nature of this ideology. Because the US is so anti-communist, maybe I can understand a bit why people think Pinochet is a great guy. I've actually had arguments with people on my own Discord of people saying they're liberals, telling me that Baptista and Diem in Vietnam made the country better off than it is today under Communist Party rule, which is totally ridiculous but shows how strong the brainwashing is. And the dehumanization of left-wing people is nothing new. It's happening in the US at the moment with things like Antifa, Black Lives Matter, the stuff of Kyle Rittenhouse, stuff of Trump ordering that sheriff's department to ice that Antifa guy who shot a Trump supporter in self-defense when they had some sort of standoff. This has happened throughout history, and it is happening in the US again to a massive, massive extent. The Trump administration ramped this up significantly. So it disturbs me a lot that you have social media accounts dedicated to people like Pinochet. Like I said, please go read about his brutality in detail. I don't even think I could probably talk about a lot of it on here because it's just so gruesome and so gross. And like I said, even as someone who knew about him to an extent, I was still very shocked at the stuff I read in researching this video. So I can't stress enough, please go research this guy. But even on the surface level, the helicopter stuff, standard authoritarianism of locking up dissidents and killing people, disappearing stuff, that stuff is all awful. And it really has no place on social media. But because of the anti-communist angle, I really can't see TikTok doing anything about this. But at the very least, they've got to take down speeches by Oswald Mosley or accounts, dedicated to Oswald Mosley, unless they just want to be, endorsing fascism. And I'm sure that TikTok has pretty strict terms of service. Like I said, you can't even look up Nazi Germany or the Wehrmacht in the search bar. So surely stuff like this, especially the Mosley stuff, breaks the rules. Now, it just feels like because TikTok is catered towards a more, I guess, light-hearted style of content, where it's mainly like stupid dances, stupid memes, it's kind of like Vine, maybe this stuff goes under the radar, but you kind of see these people don't really care. It doesn't really feel like they feel like there's consequences for being openly fascist on this platform, despite the filters that are in place. So it is pretty disturbing. Now, just to end the video, I might have played this guy at the start. There's some Mussolini stuff as well. I couldn't find as much that is in English because most of it's in Italian. I came across this and I initially thought, is this guy literally doing cosplay as Mussolini for TikTok? And is this guy a fascist? So he's called Leo Bassi. And I don't speak Italian or read Italian, so I'm going to play some of it. But it turns out he's actually a comedian, and this is a joke, and he's trying to make fun of Mussolini. I think he also had a stage show, so he's just trying to promote that. But you can see how it looks for someone like me when a guy who's dressed up as Mussolini has 25,000 followers and 100,000 likes. I'm like, what is the deal with this guy? Especially after I've just seen the Oswald Mosley and Pinochet stuff. So that is it for TikTok fascists, how the alt-right use TikTok or whatever I'm going to call this video. But yes, if you are another creator who speaks Spanish, Italian, German, I urge you, go look at this stuff because there is a ton of it on TikTok. But like I said, most of it is in another language, so I couldn't do a big video on all these people. I'd urge you maybe to go have a look and do a follow-up to this video. I'd be really interested to know. Also in the comments, let me know if you've seen any of this stuff as well. And yeah, that is it. So thank you for watching. If you want to follow me on social media, at The Tabernacle, Twitter and Instagram, please come join our communities on Reddit and on Discord. Links in the description if you want to support my work. Check out my Patreon, and if you made it this far, thank you for watching.